Hello everyone. Today, we're going to untangle a group of grammar patterns. Would, used to, get used to, and be used to. While they may look similar, they serve very distinct purposes in expressing our relationship with past habits and present realities. Let's begin by looking back into the past. When we want to talk about past habits or repeated actions that are no longer true, we have two main options, used to and would. For example, you can say, I used to play football every weekend, or I would play football every weekend. Both of these correctly describe a habitual action in the past. However, there is a crucial difference. We can only use would for actions, not for states. Used to is more flexible and can describe both past actions and past states. So while you can say, when I was a child, I used to believe in magic, you cannot say, I would believe in magic, because believing is a state, not an action. Therefore, used to is often the safer and more obvious choice between the two patterns for talking about habits and repeated actions, or even states in the past. And what about past simple? Can't we just use it instead? Yes and no. We can and often do use past simple tense for habits or states in the past. For example, I went for picnics with my family every weekend when I was a child. Instead of I used to go or I would go, or I lived in the countryside between 2008 and 2015. However, used to and would patterns more comprehensively emphasize repetitive and habitual nature of the actions or states in the past, as well as put a stronger contrast with the present. When we use used to or would patterns in this way, it means that past states or actions we describe are definitely no longer true. Now, let's shift our focus from the past to the process of adaptation. This is where get used to comes in. Notice the small but critical difference in form. It is get used to, which is followed by a noun or a gerund, a verb ending in ing. This structure describes the process of becoming familiar with something new or difficult. It's about the journey of adaptation. For instance, if you move to a new country, you might say, the weather was terrible at first, but I slowly got used to it. Or, it took me months to get used to driving on the left side of the road. The key idea here is change and the effort involved in that change. Finally, we arrive at be used to. This pattern describes the result of that process. When you are used to something, the adaptation is complete. It has become normal, familiar, and no longer strange or difficult for you. It expresses a current state of familiarity. So, following our previous examples, after living in that country for a year, you can now state, I am used to the weather. And I am used to driving on the left. Pattern be used to works quite in the same way as get used to, when it comes to what goes after it, and is also followed by a noun or a gerund, a verb with the ing ending. In summary, we use used to and would to paint a picture of our past lives and habits. Then, we use get used to describe the often challenging process of adapting to a new situation. And we use be used to declare that we have successfully reached a point where that situation now feels normal. To drive all the grammar points home, let's listen to and read a short story. My grandfather used to be a farmer in the countryside. Every day, he would wake up at sunrise to tend to his animals. He used to love the quiet, open fields. When he got too old to live alone and moved to my city apartment, he found it incredibly difficult. He had to get used to the constant noise of traffic outside. It took him weeks to get used to sleeping in a bustling neighborhood. Now, however, he is a changed man. He is completely used to his new life. He is used to hearing sirens at night, and even is used to walking his dog in the park instead of a field. The man who used to live a rural life is now fully used to city living. So, I hope it's all clear now and you're used to these patterns. Go, practice, and you'll feel completely comfortable using them very soon. and I will see you soon in the next video. Bye.